to them to get started.
All right. Thank you, Melanie. We appreciate it. And hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Prinzo. I'm an Extension Specialist in Community and Economic Development with WVU Extension. Christine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Christine Gaswin, and I'm the program manager with Youth Community Engagement that helped Lauren with this project.
Mike?
I'm Michael Daugherty. I'm a professor and extension specialist at WVU. I've been participated in different parts of the project and here to talk a little bit more about it, and just been here in support of Lauren and the team, and been on the team. So we'll just keep going.
All right. So as Melanie mentioned, we are excited to be back here today. We've presented on My Hometown is Cool before the national pilot here. So we are excited to have an opportunity to come back and give you guys kind of an update on how it went. It just concluded, so it's hot off the presses, some early results of the national pilot process. All right, so just again, so we know who we're talking about here, we always like to start any My Hometown is Cool discussion with a couple of prompts so we can get to know where you're coming from. So if you started dropping into the chat your name and where you're from. So we also have another question so we can start to get to know your communities better. What's one thing that's cool about your hometown? So if you could drop that into the chat as we get started. I see a lake. Yep, we get a lot of comments about natural resources here in West Virginia. It smells like ag. That's new. That's new. Pickle Festival. That sounds cool. San Antonio. We've been there for a conference, Melanie, and it's amazing. State parks, the people. Go. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. So you guys can see from the comments dropping here in the chats, all different things come up. The same happens with kids, and it shifts the conversation to positive things that they like about their community. It's always good to see what people enjoy about their own hometowns. So for those of you who have not heard of the program, as a brief overview, the My Hometown is Cool program is designed for 6th through 12th grade students, and it really combines community development and entrepreneurial thinking. And through the program, students complete a series of lessons that guide them through the process of identifying assets in their community and coming up with ideas that build upon them. And then they create a pitch for an idea and move it forward to attempt to win funding to turn it into a reality in their hometown. So why this is important, as for those of us in Extension, crossing both community development and 4-H and youth development, we know that fostering youth leadership in community development at the local level is key to engaging those next generation leaders in the community that they live and will eventually hopefully work within. And that being said, youth are often absent in those settings. So traditional community development settings are designed by adults, for adults, and they're run by adults, and they're led in a way that can create additional barriers for youth for participating and engaging fully. And along those lines, entrepreneurial thinking and entrepreneurial problem solving are a perfect fit for the world of community development because it embraces a flexible and iterative problem solving process that starts with the assets that you have on hand and builds upon them. So there's a lot of good connections here, and our team in West Virginia kind of saw these different blocks where we were working on different projects and saw this opportunity to bring them together to create a program that helped to engage youth as leaders in a community setting in hands-on practice of entrepreneurial problem solving. So the major components of the program, as I said, a lesson series, a 4-lesson series, each lesson taking about 45 minutes that guides students through the very start, just identifying assets, cataloging those assets using a community capitals framework, practicing some strategies for ideation, and then developing an elevator pitch to share their ideas with others. And then next, some sort of pitch competition. We began in West Virginia with this being a statewide model and moved to a school-based model, where the kids share their pitch ideas and then compete. Teams of kids usually compete for mini grants of about up to $2,000, with the goal being that that funding would help them turn that idea into reality in their hometown. And then lastly, of course, is that hands-on implementation of the project. So if you're working with a class or group of students, a really key part of the program is guiding adult-led or youth-led adult-supported, implementation of the project. And that's where the kids really get to practice turning something into a reality.
Okay. The program, as Lauren said, started here, and it was a lesson series just to get kids more involved, to get them more interested in their hometown. And, again, one thing that I think often gets ignored in community development efforts is talking to the youth. They're the future of the community, and we try to do things for the future, but often they aren't ever consulted. But they have good ideas. They know what they want, and they know what's going to keep them there and what can be improved. They see things differently and often see things more honestly than adults do. So about 1,000 youth over a 3-year period went through the lesson series. We did it with some different partners around the state. And as Lauren said, we had some pitch competitions. The initial ones were statewide. And one of the challenges was getting videos or presentations on a broad scope. And we realized as it was going, it was probably better to scale it down to school level so that the groups working on this, multiple people, and they'd be competing for a grant. Well, the presentations would be live because technology was found to be challenging. Some places had could put together a very impressive, professional-looking presentation on video, and some people struggled because not everyone would have access to the same tools, and that shouldn't be a deciding factor in how a community is developed. Oh, they can't use a video editor, so they're not going to give them money. We also did evaluation results, as any good extension program is, and saw where it was very promising, is very well received, and saw areas for improvement, and realized this was something that could not stay within the boundaries of the Mountain State, that it really needed to go national. But we also know we couldn't do that by ourselves. So we worked with the Extension Foundation, and the New Technologies for Ag Extension funding provided us the opportunity to become a pilot program nationally. And transforming a state program to a national program is not just something, we'll just let everybody do it, because you have to take your materials and make them more general. We can't just talk about things in West Virginia, but on a national level, which means some phrasing differences, some making sure that the examples you cite are not so specific to where you are or where the program was developed that they aren't understood. Also, the evaluation has to be done in such a way that it can catch different things, because again, you're looking at it on a different scale. So scaling it up, ramping it to a larger audience, a larger session was something that we were able to do, and we had the national rollout. Slide. Thank you. Again, and this doesn't happen without a lot of people working together. At West Virginia University, we had extension and about 2 of our 3 program units, family and community development. That's where Lauren and I and Kristen are associated, mostly on the CD side, but Lauren actually has a background in FCS. So she actually, before she came over to the community development side. So we see things in different ways. And of course, 4-H and youth development, this is something that is aimed at youth. So we can't really do it without those who are working with the target audience. We also had help from the Chambers College of Business, because some of these things are very much business-oriented. Entrepreneurism is something taught in that college. And as part of that college, they have the Launch Lab, which is an innovation center for small business creation. On the for the Extension Foundation, the NTAE grant, we had coaches, Scott Reed and Chuck Hibbert. We also had a great help from personnel. Tyra's here and Melanie, but others who aren't, Ellen, Aaron, Jason, Molly, the list goes on. What they were able to do is help us with everything from promoting our message, recruiting, people, making available opportunities for us to present like today to a wide audience, and help us tool our evaluation and our materials so that they would be of a broader scope than just one state. Because while you can come up with things for your own state, you know that you may not be able to, they may not translate without some tweaking. And that's where we got the help from the foundation, was to make sure that what we were proposing would play in Peoria and Portland and Piscataway, or anywhere that begins with any of the other 25 letters of the alphabet and P. So that's where we moved the program to. And I think now we're going to talk about the national pilot.
All right. So as a quick overview, we rolled out the national pilot with support from the Extension Foundation. And we received, I think it was over 60, wasn't it, Mike and Christine, applications for what was originally 5 slots to partner on the national pilot. So we were able to obtain some additional funding to expand that to 12 partnering community sites, and with an intentional effort to make sure that we had at least one in each ECOP region of the state, so we could test it in different kinds of settings. And it was delivered during the 2024-2025 school year, so just wrapped up. So our partnering states are listed here. We had partners within, every partner is within Extension: Alabama, Arizona, California, Connecticut, Florida, Idaho, Illinois, Iowa, Indiana, Nebraska, Ohio, and Virginia. Illinois is just finishing up their project, so their evaluation results are not yet in the results that we'll share next, but will be added to the report as soon as completed. Right, so the pilot components, our partners, we asked for a few things. One was delivery of the My Hometown is Cool lesson series to at least 20 students in 6th through 12th grade in their home county or state. And the partners really proposed a wide variety of delivery methods, which was great because we were able to get feedback on how it worked in all different settings with all different age groups of kids. So these included in-school settings, after-school settings, 4-H club, FFA clubs, community settings like libraries. So kind of just all different ways in which the program could be delivered. And then we also asked for them to award and implement at least one youth-led My Hometown is Cool project. And we had the $2,500 for mini grant funds and supplies to support their efforts in doing so. With that, I'll kick it to Christine to talk a little bit about the results to date.
All right, like Lauren mentioned before, we are just wrapping up. So we are in the middle of actually compiling our final report and everything. So these are just the initial results that we're going to share. We still have a lot more to analyze, but we wanted to share what we had so far. So as Lauren mentioned already before, we had 11 out of the 12 states completed. Our 12th state is finishing up. So once they are actually done with everything, we'll add everything in. Based on the surveys, we implemented 3 surveys: a pre-lesson, a post-lesson, and then a handful of states were able to produce a post-implementation. So far, the results, we are only looking at the pre and post lesson surveys. We have not gotten to all 3 level surveys, but we had 379 surveys in total. And out of the 11 states that are completed, they had 18 projects implemented, a couple, but that was really fun to see. And we'll get to the next slide with some of our survey data. So the big things that we saw, that we have seen so already, and like I said, we're still compiling these results. We saw significant gains in the participatory citizenship. And that's that the students feel comfortable and more confident identifying the problems in their community and able to communicate those ideas with adults and actually participate in doing them, versus just kind of sitting back and letting the adults run everything. In the civic engagement, we've had significant increase in the actual acts of doing things. So their volunteer hours, helping their neighbors, volunteering in the community, which is really great to see, getting them involved, not just in this project, but wanting to be involved in the community as a whole outside of this. And then community and perseverance, we had large gains in them wanting, in them saying that they keep at their schoolwork until they're done, not just leave things half finished. And most importantly, I trust people in my town and adults listen to what I have to say. Our pre-surveys really showed that kids didn't feel like they were being listened to at all. And in these post-surveys, they actually felt like their voice was recognized. And that's one of the main goals of these projects, is to get them involved and know they have a say in their community, not just the adults. And then these are just some of the open-ended questions at the end of the post-lesson survey. We let the students tell us what their favorite part was. And this is just kind of some of the ideas that we got, being able to actually give solutions to problems and meeting new people from different areas and seeing that some of the problems they had were uncommon, some of them were unique to them. Learning about their community, that they can help out, making new connections with community members, being able to see something that they can do in their community that's going to be around for the rest of their time in school, after school, growing up. If they leave their community, coming back and knowing it's still going to be there, and then getting confidence to share their ideas to other people and actually being listened to and having that confidence moving forward to actually speak up. And out of the 18 projects, we just selected a small handful to share, because the kids really took it in a lot of very interesting ways and came up with some cool things. So these are just a small example of what some of them did. So the first one was Arizona. They did a crosswalk for safer community. They had groups. Every group had 6 to 12th graders within it. So this project was pitched. They have to cross a 4-lane highway to get to fast food restaurants, gas stations, convenience stores that a lot of the students like to go to after school. So they pursued a project to get a crosswalk and signage to help them cross more safely. And Arizona did a great job with their pitch project. They actually brought in the judges for their pitches were 7 elected members of the community, including the mayor, the superintendent, county board supervisor, city general counsel. So the students really felt like the community leaders were taking what they said. And actually the community wholeheartedly embraced this and have actually expanded on the students' initial idea, because once this issue was brought to their attention, they realized how much of an impact it made, not just on the students, but the community. So they are really running with it. And it's great to see that they got really involved with it. All right, the next one was our group from Idaho. They created little free libraries. They have the 4 blessings boxes in their community where you can pick up food and that kind of stuff for people that are in need. And the students felt very strongly that especially kids their age, but everyone in the community doesn't always have support to get to the local libraries. And especially for school age kids, the only access to libraries they have is during the school year. So they really wanted to do something to make reading available to everybody. So they did the Little Free Libraries. They went and bought all of the supplies. They put in together all by themselves with the student, with their teacher leading them, but the students drilled all the holes, hammered all the nails. They sanded, painted, created everything from scratch together. And then they worked with the local Presbyterian church and the police department to get permission to put their little libraries alongside two of the blessings boxes. And then they also worked with the library to do a book drive to make sure that the boxes are filled. And the last update we got from them, it has been a huge success. Most of the original books that they put in there have been taken out and switched for other books. So it's definitely getting used by the community. And there's a big, big sense of pride within those students that they've done something to help. Nebraska took what they had in their community already. They created an organization that is actually hopefully going to outlast the current students' tenure in school. They created student-led activities at Pritchard, the SLAP group. Pritchard is their community auditorium that has ample seating, lots of green space around it. And they've worked with their community to use the funding to create student-focused events, such as movie nights, game nights, where they do board games, they do sports events where they have pickup basketball games, pickup soccer games, kickball, but just open, free to the community, really focused on the student age kids to feel like they have somewhere to go and something to do that doesn't involve having to drag adults around with them. And then they've also decided to expand on that, and they used some of their remaining funding to help improve their community pool, which is also where they hang out a lot. Providing new shelter for snack areas, and just really trying to give students their age and younger and students in the future more access to things to do. All right, and the last one that we wanted to highlight was Virginia. They took it in a complete different direction, which is really cool. They did snapshots of Hampton, their hometown, through the eyes of our youth. Hampton shines bright. So they took this and went in a graphic design, and they felt like they already had a lot of things in their community that they could do and appreciate, but not many people actually know about them. So they took a social media blast with a video that they created and flyer that they created, exploring all the different things in their hometown, like their community gardens, their parks. There's a lot of history right on the main part of Hampton. And they created a documentary style video where they visited these landmarks and talked about why they liked them, and then blasted it all out to everybody they knew. They worked with community partnerships like the library, town hall, and used their social media accounts to blast it out. And then through the use of hashtags and their friends and family, they really got the word out to people of they didn't need to create something new in their community, just take advantage of what they had. And it's really cool. We can get the link to the video that they used. Side fact, I actually used to live in Hampton, so seeing what they did and everything that they were showing, I had no idea when I lived there that any of these things existed. So I really enjoyed this project because I learned something myself.
All right, thank you,
And
Christine.
Lauren,
Perfect, thank you. And as Christine mentioned, there were 18 projects, and we kept we were just going to share one example and kept kind of adding. So we just settled on a few for today, but all awesome projects that are all of the partners highlighted in their pages of the national report, which will be released soon as well. So we hope when that comes out, you'll read more about all the various projects and the awesome work that the partners did with kids all over the country through the project. So for next steps, the national pilot process included us getting feedback from extension faculty and staff and others who were delivering the program. And we just got some really great feedback from some our awesome partners on this project. And with that, we were able to make some slight modifications, add a little bit more interactive activities into lesson 2, which was kind of lacking in that. And then most significantly, we got a lot of feedback. We ended the series on creating an elevator pitch, but since the majority of people who implement this program will move to a more formal pitch competition, there was a lot of feedback that additional guidance on developing a pitch presentation would be beneficial. So that tool could be used to help the teams come up with their slide deck and develop their 5-minute pitch to pitch their presentation. So we added, led by Christine, a 5th lesson resource, that as we're calling it, into the series that guides them through developing a pitch presentation for a pitch competition. So it's worded in so far as to help them learn the steps to looking at and learning about the rubric of a competition and creating slides or a pitch that correspond to those rubric elements and different kind of pieces. So it's a little bit more, dives into the nuts and bolts of helping them get ready to present and practice doing so. So we're happy to have that, so happy to have that feedback, and so happy to have those additions to the program as well. So within West Virginia, we in this 2025-2026 school year, which as Melanie said, just kicked off, we're excited to be able to build My Hometown is Cool into the Young Innovators program model that we have here. It's going to be offered, the Young Innovators program is offered at 15 school sites this year, and the middle school students will do the new version of the My Hometown is Cool program with that added content, and then pitch their ideas at our Mountain State Innovator Summit, which takes place in November. So we're excited to have that coming up here with our West Virginia plan. And then for national expansion, we're still exploring options. We just kind of are collecting those last pieces of information from the partners, finishing up the national report, and starting to talk as a team on what our next steps are in terms of making the program available nationally or seeking funding to offer support for mini grants and other expenses to offer the program within the partnering states that we have already worked with and or additional states that have expressed interest in the program. And then I think not on the slide, but a key next step is that we will be releasing that report, which shows information on the overall outcomes of the pilot and then summary for each state as well. So we hope you guys will take a look at that. And just a brief, obvious thank you so much to Extension Foundation. The NTAE grant, as Mike discussed, was really such great technical assistance for our team that was well timed for exactly where we were with this early promising project that had been delivered successfully through West Virginia and gave us the tools that we needed to think about pushing it out further. And then also thank you so much to the partners in the various states that chose to embark on this pilot with us as well. It was really fun to kind of hear about different people's experiences and perspectives from different units of extension and different delivery methods and different audiences that they were working with. And it's been fun to compile all of the results as well and see what people did. It reminds you of the creativity of extension faculty and staff nationally, and how much that influences these youth-led projects. So with that, does anyone have any questions or comments? Can open the floor for any questions or comments people have. And if you didn't notice in the chat, Melanie is placing a short feedback survey. So if you don't mind taking a few minutes just to complete that, we would appreciate it. And I will also drop my email address in the chat. So if you're interested in the program or learning about next steps, please feel free to reach out and we'll be sure to stay in contact with you as well. Do we have anyone here from the national pilot that wants to add any comments? Or I was trying to scroll through the names as I was doing the PowerPoint slides. Hoping I didn't miss anyone. All right. Well, if it's okay, Melanie, we can stay on here for a few minutes in case someone wants to discuss their state in particular. And otherwise, we can wrap up and let the others move back to their afternoons. So thank you all for coming and for learning more about the national pilot. And we hope if you have an interest in this program, that you'll reach out and we can connect with you and talk about how we might collaborate in the future.
Yeah, we have a comment from, or I'm sorry, a question from Nate in the chat.
Okay.
This team is incorporating high school students as volunteers in a modified BR&E program. Any advice to make it meaningful based on your experience?
So in what, Nate, if I can ask a follow-up, in what capacity, what will the volunteers be doing? Hey, Kathy. Just saw Kathy's comment. She was in the national pilot. Okay, so Nate said they'll be doing intercept surveys, data analysis, presenting findings, and potentially more. Yeah, I would say one piece of advice that our team might offer that we've kind of learned a lot about through this national pilot process and through the My Hometown is Cool program is the more that they can create the experiences that they are engaged in, the more interested they'll be. So if you look at the different activities or components of the program, wherever there's room for them to design or create it themselves, that's really where we see students getting interested and into the projects. My Hometown is Cool, for example, is so broad. That's why we have everything from in West Virginia, from pickleball courts to festivals to signage, bilingual signage being placed in communities because it really is open to the youth. So if looking at your, intercept surveys, analysis findings, can the topic itself be something that the kids choose? And then the methods that they're using are something that you're teaching them as concrete skills, but they're researching a topic of interest or something that they're passionate about. So we just find a lot of better response when they can choose the subject, if that makes sense.
And just
You have-
to
yeah.
add on to that, knowing in BRE, you're mostly talking to businesses wanting to know what they can do. Make sure that they also think that not just their current customers, but their future customers, that the youth are their potentially, in many cases, going to be their future customers. How do you get them hooked now, so to speak? How do you get them involved? How do you, what can you do that might be good for not only the present, but those who might be coming down the line? I have to get, so it's an opportunity to have the youth educate the businesses as part of that process of what they might be looking for and how that it might help them tailor their expansion process. There's how they move as they decide how to continue in the community.
Point. We found that in general, youth are very socially conscious. Reading through the comments that Christine kind of hit upon, a lot of them were commenting on specifically like improving their community, helping other people were the things that they liked the most about it. So if there's a way to center in like what impact different steps would have on the community, what improvements would be made, center it back in their hometowns also seems to be a way to keep it interesting. So many things that we talk about in community and economic development, I think, can feel really big and abstract. So when we can center it back to their hometown in any way and the impact on their hometown, I feel like gives a little more relevance.
Lauren, do you see the question from Amanda Clausen?
Oh, I did not.
Did you struggle to get schools or organizations to jump on board? It seems when we have an awesome programs like this, it's difficult to get local partnerships to move forward.
Thank you, Amanda. That's a good question. So, when we first started delivering this program, it was as a statewide pitch competition. And at that time, I think in the first iteration, we had, I think it was 12 entries, Mike, statewide. So it wasn't huge. And then yeah, it's one of those things that once it starts, it's not difficult for adults to rally behind youth who are passionate and who are taking a lead on something. So it kind of snowballs, because it's just, I think that communities and local government officials and schools are excited to see kids kind of jumping forward and taking these steps. So we were able with some great communication support to do highlight videos of those early projects that were youth led, and every time we offer it, the interest increases. So I think it's one of those things where if you start small, you immediately start building buy-in, because seeing youth take a lead is definitely a plus. And then within the schools, now incorporating it into the Young Innovators program model, we're seeing a lot of excitement for it to overlap with different entrepreneurship CTEs, after school programs, all different settings, because it is open and flexible. So we're not having too much trouble. In fact, we're just going as many places as we can afford to go with the funding that we had. We're more limited by our funding at this time.
Yeah, as Lauren said, we were envisioning 5 pilots. We ended up with 12. There was that much. The word had gotten out about this, and sometimes when you have things that people see working, it generates its own interest. Also, Catherine just typed in talking about how to get youth involved. Our youth were involved with community government to get approval, support for projects. It was wonderful interaction. A tip for 4-Hers: one of our teams was a 4-H Federation team who took their project to the state fair in the team project category, service learning, and they received a top award. So again, that's sort of, you work with, there's different ways, different constructs. A lot of it's school-based, but it can be 4-H based. It can be other organizational based. It can be completely ad hoc. This works in a variety of different settings, and it's one of the nice things about it is its flexibility.
And I will add, working with our partners through this year's project, we had a couple of our states that actually needed to pivot from their original audiences. The kids seem to be very excited and involved doing it. The struggle was the actual adult leaders buying in the time for it. So trying to work on the kids' excitement to get the adults involved as much as the bigger challenge that we see. Once they pivoted, they had plenty of students that were willing to participate. So it's just finding those special individuals that are willing to put in that work to give the kids the voice.
And that's a really good point, Christine, because for your question, Amanda, I forget that not every extension has, we have at least one faculty member in every county of the state, and we have an office in every county of the state. So that boots on the ground person helping support when issues do arrive or connect to partners is really key to its success here in West Virginia, is through that county agent role. And the other group is teachers, like teachers that are bought in and excited and lead the project forward with kids. But yeah, there's a lot of, it's the real world. So part of the learning is the pivoting, right? Kids often come up with plans that have to be changed because they can't be done legally, right? Because they want to put something downtown that can't be put, or they want to, and part of navigating those regulations and talking to different groups to figure out what can and can't be done is part of the learning experience. But yeah, that consistent adult is absolutely key to the program. Yeah. Any other questions or thoughts?
I just wanted to remind everyone that the recording and the slides will be sent out, so you can reference those, and stay connected with this team so we can all see when their national report is out. Yeah, and thank you all for taking the survey. I will also be sending that out. So if you haven't gotten a chance yet, that's just a great opportunity for us to see what you guys want to see in the future from these webinars. Oh, awesome. And Catherine in the chat said they're happy to be a resource for others who are considering the program.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, it looks like there's no more questions or comments, so I'll go ahead and close us out. Thank you guys so much for joining us today and putting together such a great, engaging presentation, and for, like you said, fresh off the press. So it was great to hear from you today. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your Monday. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you.